God
Habs.
damn Habs.
Here we go.
You're listening to the Leafs Power Dump, May 16th edition, the beginning of playoffs. Officially, we have 4 days anticipation before we hit the ice against the Habs and begin the process of mopping up the arenas with them.
Guys, we're the champs. We're the kings of the North as far as the regular season goes.
We're the
But
king of the
that means-
North.
That means nothing, but still, it's a little something. It means something.
It's something.
It was kind of like how Usain Bolt just kind of jogs the last few steps, points to the sky. I think that's what we did those last few games. Those last few
doesn't want to
games
pull a
is kind of
hamstring in the last
Yeah.
2 meters, when he's crossing the line 10 meters ahead of everybody.
Okay, guys, let's go around once. What do you think? How many games do you think it's going to be, for us to win in the first round of the playoffs? Yeah.
Yeah, 5.
I'm saying 6.
I'm saying 4.
I love it. I want it to be 4 so bad.
I think it's going to be like,
Me too.
Yeah. I think we got another guy. I think that we have not seen this gear. I'm really hoping that they come out and you say, you know what? We let you get close and stuff like that. A lot of teams came close, but I'm really, really hoping that the message that comes across in that first game is like, oh shit, this isn't just the team that ended up cruising through the North. It's like, all right, these guys are serious. If not, then we got a big long playoff run ahead of us, and that's cool. But I really do think that they have the ability to come out and send that message. It'd be great if they did.
Paul, you're actually you're the words of my heart. You're actually what's in there. I'm being cautious with 6, but that's what I feel the same, and I want that so bad.
I know. I can feel that from you. Everybody wants to feel that. I get it.
I think 5.
Fuck that.
I think even with that message, Montreal's not a team to roll over just because we scared them in the first couple games hard. No. They'll come back. So I think
we have Mikheyev, and that's always the variable.
Yeah.
I'm just accounting for bounces,
Yep, exactly.
Can we done this series before Vancouver finishes the regular season?
Possibly. Who looked like they were kind of giving her in those last couple games, which I really was happy to see, was Engvall, Mikheyev, Kerfoot, because they know they're on the bubble of going out, right?
Yeah.
Engvall. Guy's on fire. Was it 5 goals or 4 goals in 6 games or something?
Yep.
And then Nick Foligno on his shifts, he looked like he was like, I need to get in the zone here. Mm-hmm. So for a lot of his shifts, he was like really good forecheck and hustling, and
because he was doing so well before he got injured, like he was really making a name.
He's gonna be fun.
I guess he already had the name. He was making an impression.
Yeah, and for guys like Engvall, it's more ice time too, right? Like they just not only are they obviously fighting for their spots and whether they're going to be in the playoff run for real or not, but they always benefit from a couple extra minutes.
Yeah. But if he keeps that sort of same mentality where it's what I liked about Engvall is that his willingness to shoot. Like he's just like, I'm going to fling it at the net, man. Like that's how you get a rebound, something happens. He scored from kind of weird angles and different spots. So,
go figure. You throw the puck at the net. Sometimes it goes in.
Not for Mikheyev,
Not for Mikheyev.
Except for he got the last goal of the year.
Did he really?
Yeah.
He did. He had a gaping net and he scored on it.
Open net.
I think he was actually trying to wrap around and it hit his stick and went in. But he took it. Yeah.
Speaking of empty net, I was reading that I think none of Matthews' goals were into an empty net. All of them
surprised me.
No cheapies
against a goalie.
What a beautiful season that guy had.
Oh my God. And what I love is that all those goals came from so many different ways. You watch the highlights, and I've seen a couple of hype videos and playbacks and stuff, and it's just like, how do you stop them? Because you just don't know where it's coming from.
Even when it's from the same spot, like everyone knows it's coming, and like half the time they can't stop it.
Totally.
He officially has more goals than we have followers.
He's had that for half a season.
yeah. Dates back to Christmas. What do you guys think? Okay, we got the Montreal Canadiens. Not that familiar with this team.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to get a feeling out period out of the way a little bit. But if I'm looking right at Foligno and Simmons, and I'm thinking these are the kind of things that we were missing before. Last time when we came around, and I was thinking forward to teams like Boston and those tough games against Washington and things where I felt the guys were going to get having a tougher time getting those gritty, 3-foot crease goals, things like that.
Right.
I really feel as though we've gone out and got these players that we always wanted to have. And you wonder whether or not they're enough to solve the problems and plug the holes that you've had in the past. So that's going to be a big one for me. I think they're going to come out blazing in the first couple of games to really make a point. And even in the past when I thought about what Kadri had done the last couple of years in order to get, booted out of the playoffs, these guys seem to have a little bit more experience, and they're able to control themselves in those tight situations. Borderline with getting into the box or making sure that they create that presence. So that veteran toughness is going to be the thing I'm looking forward to the most. I know that the guys can score. I know those goals, a lot of those goals in the style in which we scored them are not going to be there in the playoffs. You're not going to have the open ice and the space to make those nice, beautiful plays. But, and I certainly know that we're not going to be a threat in the man advantage, but I think that those gritty, ugly goals that happen in the playoffs are going to be in our favor a little bit more than they have in the past.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're going to see those guys come out there and crash and bang. And it also is dealing with the shit that happens after the whistle and all that crap that goes on. And like watching the Washington-Boston game last night is like, there is so much nonsense and garbage and like shifty stuff going on, especially with those two teams in particular have sort of got that type of thing down. So I love the fact that they're playing against each other. Will hopefully just beat the crap out of each other. But yeah, our guys, those vets have been through that stuff and they can dish that out as well as take it, So one of the things they're going to have to deal with in the Habs series is you got one of the dirtiest players in the league. You know what, Hab fans, come at me. Corey Perry, one of the dirtiest guys ever. Hey, he's Peterborough. So we got the Peterborough alumni thing we can all go on, but that guy is going to be out there being one of those dudes who's sticking you with the butt end, and he's going to be doing stuff after the whistle to get under your skin. And you got to just be either somebody's going to have to thump the crap out of him, but that doesn't stop Corey Perry, or you just got to go get away from me, you loser, and go score on him.
When you talk about veteran toughness, that's being tough too, right? Like taking some of that crap and not retaliating and keeping your moment, taking a number and waiting.
In those last few games of the season, situations like that came up where, we could have turned around and retaliated, and we could have got dragged into some mucky and ugly stuff. But even the commentators I noticed during the games had mentioned that veteran steel coming in to with experience for those guys just to say this isn't the time. So in the past, some players might not have on the Leafs taken that advice.
We've got a team this year that now has the breadth of experience on the bench that we've got young, hungry guys, eager and excited and just 120% for the rest of the playoffs. No problem. Pedal to the metal, put a brick on it and forget about it. And we've got that coupled with the experience and grit and strength of the guys who've been there, done that. Some of them, held the trophy. Some of them still want to, but they're not going to rise to the petty little jabs and so on. Like they're not going to be freaked out by that stuff. They're just going to, same thing, a bigger brick on the pedal, but they keep their hands on the wheel the whole time.
I'm also super excited to see Austin Matthews next year.
Yeah.
I think there's another beast mode with this guy that's outside of his goal scoring that is going to be, I think he's finally in the condition and the shape and is not worried about his body being fragile. And you've seen it a couple times where he'll throw a hit, and I think he's going to play like a dude fucking possessed. And this could be his coming out. I think this playoffs is more like a Crosby, more like a Lemieux, more like a, put that team, like everybody's great, but I know what I have to do and what I'm capable of. And
he won the award. He's the biggest scorer in the league, period.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be the 200-foot game that's going to be his next level up. Whether he's scoring goals or not, it's going to be that part of the game that's going to be a whole other thing. this team has a lot to prove. Like now it's like, okay, great. You did all those things in the regular season. Honestly, who gives a shit? It's been the same most or half of the core that has not made it out of the first round for the last 4 years. So those guys like Matthews, Nylander, Riley, they've all got to prove that they can do it. More so even than like the other guys are great. They're going to be there to help make this happen. Mm-hmm. But if these guys are going to be truly great NHL players, you've got to be able to say, okay, if we're going to be that dominant during the regular season, we better be bloody well more dominant during the playoffs, and it's a grind.
Speaking of something to prove, who gets the start and goal?
When I was filling out my hockey pool, shout out to Mark Dillon, author, 50 Sides of the Beach Boys. I said, man, I picked my final four, and no big surprise, the Leafs were there. And I thought, who's the goalie? I thought that a lot of teams, actually, more teams than I was comfortable with. So I thought, who's going to be the goalie that I would pick that I would suspect is going to get me the most points out of Campbell and Anderson? So let's throw that question out.
So who did you pick?
I picked Campbell, to be honest.
Yeah, me too,
actually. I thought that we're going to start with him, and if he's playing well, I think we're going to run with him. I think that if he needs a rest, or if we get into a situation where he does drop a game or not look that good, Freddie will come in, but I doubt Freddie would stay. I think that's kind of the way I'm looking forward at. We've got momentum with Campbell right now, and
my confidence isn't in Freddie only because, I mean, obviously we haven't seen any of his ice time in his warm-ups and what his return is looking like, but I'd be pretty shocked if he hits the ice game one and just shuts the door and stays there for 6 games. I feel like Campbell has developed into this sort of pace and momentum and rhythm of being the prime goalie, and having Freddie as the really experienced secret weapon backup makes that a really solid goal team, I think.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. And Campbell is going to start absolutely for sure. But I just have this feeling at some point Anderson's going to come in, and he's a fierce competitor with lots to prove as well. And he's going to go, you know what?
He's taking back
this.
The goal.
I'm going to shut the door and just like blow people's minds.
If he's healthy,
I would love for that to happen. I would love
I don't know.
That to happen.
I want to see.
Nothing would make me happier than to see Freddie come in and just like boom.
And the thing is,
the whole place.
And what's great is we've got competition in goal. We've got competition in goal the way we've got competition and support. Having goaltender depth too is key, man, because when you look at what's happened over the years where, with Pittsburgh winning and Murray was in and Murray went down and Fleury was out, and like those sort of switches. And you look at even last night was Vanacek, right? That's the goalie for Washington. And of course, Boston runs him accidentally on purpose. Right. And takes him out of the game because that's a Boston thing to do. Shout out to Mark Dillon and his dirty team. And then so Craig Anderson is in that, and you've got a 40-year-old goalie he's an experienced guy, and he played a pretty solid game and held them in. And I think that's what we're looking at too. It's like you got Campbell, you got Anderson, and when Riddick is on, Big Save Dave can be great. Hopefully he's on, hopefully we see the guy that shut the door on us 2 games in a row and, was impossible to solve. So,
Well, what happens when you get into the playoffs and in these situations, though, is that it doesn't always have to do with power and what you've done before and how you play. Like frustrating teams find coaching ways to come in and lock you up, frustrate you, keep the puck away from you, take your time away, have more energy and speed than you. Just squeak through those close games, and that they end up getting a fluke. Like all those shots on net that we can't get it past, and then boom, they get one chance, go back in, skate, score. Like, and we've lost games like that all season. So you just don't want to string a number of those together in order to lose a 7-game series. So I think any team in the NHL with the last 16 is capable of beating the Leafs right now under those conditions. What you have to do is not let yourself be solved by any of these teams and saying, hey, the Leafs get frustrated by cross ice passes. We've been beat by things like that before, where we're a one-dimensional team that only can march down the ice in one certain way. Hopefully we're like Babcock was keeping us locked into a certain way of play, and that was once you figure that out, we were sort of in trouble. So hopefully we're able to battle through those things and adjust right now, and we're the one that's the frustrating team that the other guys can't, because skill is skill, and that's a wonderful thing and stuff when you're in those few situations where Ovechkin does find himself at the top of the circle and Matthews finds himself at the top of the circle with nothing but a quarter inch of space on either side of the puck. Of course they could score in those situations, but they just simply don't come up as much in the playoffs. So those gritty third, fourth line guys that we're going to rely on that are going to get us far down the road, who's get I was joking with my nephew the other day. We were talking about those key players that really end up making the memorable Stanley Cup teams, and Dino Ciccarelli and guys like that, Claude Lemieux, they come to mind. And I'm like, and now, before, did we have any of those guys? And sometimes teams in the past, at least, we had those guys. Now I feel as though those key players are, Joe Thornton, Jason Spezza, Foligno, Simmons. These will probably be the memorable guys down the road that will take us there. And
feels like you're just rounding off my pool roster.
So I got two things for you here then, guys. One, actually, there was a great tweet by Terry Cochon talking about the teams even from last year to this year. And so last year's lineup for Game 5 against Columbus was Tavares, Matthews, Marner, Hyman, Nylander at center, Kapanen, Janssen, Kerfoot, Mikheyev, Clifford, Engvall, and Spezza, with defensive Riley, Ceci, the beauty of Marty Marinson and Hall, Dermott, and Barry. So now you've got, instead of Kapanen, we've got Foligno in there. We've got Spezza, we've got Simmons, we got Thornton, we've got on defense now, we've got Brody. So Riley, Ceci, I'll take Riley, Brody anytime. We'll have Muzzin and Hall.
Brody number 4 in plus minus in the entire NHL finished off the season.
Quietly.
Totally.
Yeah. Real centers playing center.
Yeah, real centers playing center. Like our center
Yeah.
depth is awesome. Like, you think about how many centers we actually have on the team that play wing. What I love about the fourth line is if it is Spezza, Simmons, and Thornton, you got 2 guys that can take face-offs there, not a problem. And almost every line is like that. And then our fourth pair, you've got either Dermott, Sandin. I hope Bogo is healthy. Apparently he's getting close because he's going to be a beast, I think, through the playoffs. And you got Hutton as a fallback. Like, the depth is way better. All right. So who is your unsung hero? Who is your Gary Volk? Who is your Nikki Borshevsky of this team?
Mark Osborne.
Who's the Mark Osborne who's going to get who's doing that? Who's going to come out and be like, shit, man, that guy got 3 goals in a 5-game series and like they were all key. Who is it?
Yeah.
I can still see that high crease tip against Detroit with Nikki Borshevsky putting the stick down.
Yep.
I can see that in my mind.
Yeah.
I think he's been playing it all year and he's been deserving it. And I think a little unsung hero for me could be Kerfoot. I think he's had a fantastic year, and and he's capable of scoring. He's a hard worker, and I think that he'll go undetected. I think they're not expecting him.
I'm not watching him.
Yeah.
I think it's Engvall. I mean, that's the easy go-to, because I mean, he's just in the last, as you were saying earlier, Chad, in the last 5-6 games, he's suddenly lit up. I mean, he's always been a great, solid sort of middle of the line player, but I think he's maybe headed for a little playoff surprise.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Would you put him on the power play?
I put Sandin on the power play. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Well, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to say the unsung heroes are the 4 non-flashy D guys: Hall, Muzzin, Bogo, Dermott, and Brody. Like, if they can just shut it down, that's all I need from them.
That's great. It's going to be Hyman. Hyman is one of those guys. Like, I mean, he had a great season, so I don't know what you can say unsung or not, but he's somebody that people don't expect to score. He's not afraid to get into the gritty areas. It was him and Matthews that had the most points and goals in the Columbus series last year. He's just coming into I think a whole other level. And I think he's going to be one of those guys that those other teams have always had, where you're like, God damn it, why is that guy getting their goals? Why is DeBrusk getting those goals? And
great
because
example. Yeah.
they're going to focus so much on Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares that Hyman's got way better hands than people think. Speaking of goals in my memory, that Darnell Nurse shove off, turn around, deke, right over Mike Smith's glove in this year, his little Hyman's best goal of the year. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to do it.
Oh, I think we're all right.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are good. Those are all good, and we didn't even pick off any of the big obvious players, but
yeah. Well, we haven't even touched on, we haven't seen him yet, is Riley Nash. Do you think he's going to have an impact?
At least he'll be a little bit of an X factor. And I think to your point, Paul, not being a one-dimensional team and not being easily solved, sort of in the dressing room and in video playback, having somebody like Riley Nash to be like, oh, and also we've been practicing this guy, but you haven't seen him yet. Say we get into a game where we're pushing, and we've, hit a post, we've hit a glove, we've hit a blocker, we've hit a skate, we've hit everything except the net, and then they, odd man rush us and score.
Oh, by the way, left Bauer.
Yeah, exactly. Riley Nash.
Yeah. It was in. Thought it was in. No. You thought I had nothing the whole game. Left Bauer.
Right.
The genius of Dubas and his team is that, you bring in Foligno, but you also sign Nash, and those guys are teammates. So, hey, you're coming to a new team, but we're bringing a buddy along with you who's been a pain in our ass from Boston through to Columbus. Exactly. And he was a pain. Both of them were pains in our ass last year. So, if you can't beat them, sign them.
You think about how many games you might play if you go deep, right? Mm-hmm. There will be injuries. Mm-hmm.
Like last year we lost Muzzin, and that was like a huge blow to the D-corps. Well, Muzzin goes down and Bogo steps in, and it's Bogo and Hall. Okay. One thing I do like on our challenge of our power play that's weak is when Muzzin's been on the power play, shots from the point. Like he's been blasting them, and he got a power play goal the other night. And it's like that's I would love Riley to shoot more because Riley's actually got a pretty good shot, but I think they get in the habit of looking for, is it going to be Matthews or Tavares or give it over to Mitch, and Mitch will come up with something really cool. And it's like Muzzin's just like, I'm just going to shoot the damn thing.
Yeah. Even that, though, I think from a strategy perspective, even if they've been playing that or practicing that, we've got to shift our power play down to more of this sort of traditional get it to the point, blast it at the net. We haven't seen a ton of that, but it's been pretty effective when it's been working. And it's just started to creep in. I wonder if the power play, again, it's all, everything's new and everything's hopeful. Maybe the power play will just wake up.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if each penalty in the playoffs, in the first 30 seconds, we make them pay every single time?
You have to.
It's not impossible. It's how we did the first half of the season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, playoff hockey is just different anyways. And it's like, if you got shots or just getting it to the net and causing a ruckus, it's messy hockey. Yep. And the power play can be messy too. Speaking of Hollywood superstars and Flash, we got our guy waiting in the wings.
Hey boys, it's been so long. Oh man, I missed you guys. Look, it's crazy. I mean, I can't believe the season's over. Oh my God, what a wild ride. Oh, it's so crazy. I'm in the ring, guys. I'm getting ready for a big match. But yeah, I gotta fight Jose. He came out and he told me he's a Habs fan. He's been keeping this a secret the whole time. We've been friends, man. I don't even know what to say, but I'm gonna show him we're going toe to toe. We're gonna do our own best of 7. You know what I mean? Oh, he's gonna get it. I gotta love it. Austin Matthews, Rocket Richard trophy winner, man. He's the title. He's the king. He's the best goal scorer in the league, and we got him. We got the division title this year. That's so crazy. We're the kings of the North. Jack Campbell, his consecutive win record. It's so good. It's so good. So many great things that are happening this year. I love it. I even heard Mitch Marner, he's going to be able to grow a beard this year in the playoffs. So yeah, Mitchie, he's going to get the itchy bit because the beard, it's going to get a little itchy there. It doesn't matter what the regular season was. This is what it comes down to. Everybody's got to give it. We got to do it, boys. You got to do it. My one guy who's going to be really a breakout in the playoffs is going to be Ilya Mikheyev. I love it. He got the last goal of the season for the Leafs. He's going to be out there. He's going to be on fire. I think all of a sudden, maybe he's going to find his hands. So watch out for Mikheyev, boys. I love you guys. Let's go, Leafs, go. Come on, under the Stanley Cup.
He's drunk.
Wow.
He's always drunk.
He's been drinking. You could just tell the way his cheeks kept caving and he's drunk.
I have a conspiracy theory. Is Jose Theodore? Is that who he is? He might be. Maybe a 23andMe on his friend Jose. We're going to find out exactly that he's actually Jose Theodore.
Well, from the sounds of it, he's going to do a 23andMe on them in the ring anyways, so who knows what's going to happen.
Well, as opposed to the 24andMe he clearly did before today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love him to be right, though? That Mikheyev is the savior?
Oh, man. If Mikheyev gets 2 goals in the playoffs, I'll be stunned.
Mikheyev has 2 ankles, and the chances of the puck going off each one of them is just as good as anybody else. Alex Galchenyuk. Yeah, that's right. Former
That's going to bring it back.
Former Hab, sneaky guy, fast goal scorer, number 3 pick overall. Forget he's got pedigree. He's a good player, and he could end up being a surprise in the playoffs. And I would love nothing more than for him to bang some nails in the coffin of the goddamn Habs.
Yeah, there's a guy who's motivated for payback, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And on that note, you've been listening to the Leafs Power Dump. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and most of all, above all else, every night you lay down in your little pillow. 3 small words. Go, Leafs, go. See you soon.
Leafs Power Dump Podcast is Kirk Comrie, Chad Maker, Paul Zimick, and John Galway. Copyright 2021 Firewallet Productions.